really wanted to hit the subject of whitetails and barometric pressure. That's a topic that you see online, you hear people talk about. That I've been analyzing the weather since the early 90s and how it relates to whitetails. In fact, when I used to go out to the woods to hunt, it was back in the 90s, I'd listen to the marine weather forecast out of Sandusky and up by the thumb area of lower Michigan, out on Saginaw Bay. And that's what I'd listen to on the way to the deer stand, and I'd listen to all this weather factors come together. Last fall, I came out with my all-weather whitetail book, and it discusses all the weather strategies that I've learned since the early 90s, the weather formula and algorithm that I use. And to say that I'm a student of the weather is an understatement when it comes to whitetails. This is something I analyze all the time. There's a lot of misleading information out there about barometric pressure and whitetails. And I can say that right now, I can't wait for a high pressure, barometric pressure day during the hunting season when it's a high of 27. These stinking gnats around us right now are just pelting us back of the ears. One just flew literally in my mouth while I was talking about that, excuse me. Nasty little creatures right now, but it's all leading up to the hunting season. And barometric pressures and whitetails can be a very misleading topic because there's some thoughts out there that high barometric pressure drives whitetail hunting. And I can say that barometric pressure does reflect quality whitetail conditions at times. It does not reflect high quality whitetail opportunity and whitetail hunting opportunities all the time. One common, very easy approach, if you're just looking at something you want to glance, you don't have a lot of hunting opportunity, you want to pick the best days, you can get time off, but you can't get a lot of time, is just saying that a previous client of mine and friend Jared Archer made up. When barometric pressure and temperatures meet, bucks will be on their feet. And that means when the barometric pressure is high after a storm and the temperature's low, you can circle that spot. It's a great time to hunt always. But that isn't the only time that you should be hunting. Now, barometric pressure can be misleading because that is the best time to hunt right there. In fact, the day after that, I figure there's about 2/3 of a value of that first day. And by the time you get to the second day after that time when they both meet, then it goes back to just an average or below average day to hunt. And there's not a lot of high value days to hunt, even during the rut when it comes to the weather. That third day after that time when they meet, barometric pressure could be higher. And some forecasts will say that that's a better time to hunt or a same value time to hunt as that time when they both met, and that is not true, and that's one of the ways that barometric pressure can be misleading. A lot of times that third day after, the temperature's 10 degrees, 7 degrees warmer. It's actually a poor day to hunt, but the barometric pressure models, if you have an algorithm that's related heavily to barometric pressure, it's not going to work to create a great hunt. That's number one way where barometric pressure can be misleading when it comes to whitetails. A second and really important way when it comes to barometric pressure relating to whitetails and their movement is that when barometric pressure is low and you have a front coming through, the temperatures could be a high of 77 and it's early November in Wisconsin. It's really high temperature for early November. So it doesn't matter if it's the second or third, you can still shoot a buck that day. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a great day to hunt or that the percentages are at all in your favor. You're basically going out on luck at that point. But there could be a long system that's coming through that stretches out over 3 or 4 days. You'll have an initial drop in an average high of 77 degrees. Now it's dropping down to 57, a 20-degree temperature drop. Let's say the factors that often are very extreme when those conditions take place, they've taken place. You've had snow, heavy rain, thunder, lightning, sleet, hail, high winds. It's all cleared out and it's come to this day, it's 20 degrees less. You cannot miss that day, and often that day is a low pressure day, and by some models it would tell you that it's a bad day to hunt. If it's between those storms, you have this front Monday to Tuesday, there's another front coming on Thursday, Friday. You have this little clearing on Wednesday. The pressure's still low. It's cloudy weather. You just had a 20-degree temperature. Folks, do not miss that day, no matter what the barometric pressure says. That's one way where a barometric pressure can be very misleading because it's very low still. And then you have the next front coming through where the air officially clears out into blue sky days, barometric pressure, temperature meet, because the barometric pressure is going to be high after that clears, temperature's coming down. So you had a great in-between system right there that you can hunt, even with a low pressure day. I've killed a lot of bucks on those. In fact, Dylan and I were right over here 100 yards away, and we sat on a low pressure day between the fronts. A blizzard was coming on Saturday for the secondary rut. Buck walked right into our laps. That's the way it was supposed to be, and I was hunting that mid-range right here where most models would have said was a poor day. Then this is a great day here. Now, barometric pressure changes often. So let's say that storm is still holding on, but you still have a 40 to 20 mile an hour decrease in winds. You might have a little light rain, but it's starting to blow out, and winds have been reduced. Temperatures have dropped even 8 degrees, 10 degrees, and you still have that low pressure hanging on. A lot of times that low pressure is the most misleading and inaccurate portion of the forecast. You can see that's going to change on Thursday into Friday. Maybe it changes more Friday, maybe it changes Thursday, depending on when that storm blows out. But one thing that's the most accurate are those winds, the wind direction, and often the temperature drop. So you can have something where it tells you that Friday morning is a great time to hunt because of low pressure. Friday in general is a great time to hunt because it's changed to high pressure. You take that time off on Thursday, you wake up Friday morning, and lo and behold, that storm and that low pressure is hanging on till Saturday. Now you just took a Friday off, and it's a bad time to hunt. If you're only going by that low pressure, it can be very misleading. Doesn't matter if it's the day and the timing of the change, if it's you're missing that middle range time to hunt, or even a higher pressure day 3 days or 2 days after the real great time to hunt when those two met. Barometric pressure is something that is not tangible. Deer relate to moisture change, wind speed change, wind direction change, cold fronts, stress in general, major cold fronts, missed feeding opportunities. Those are all tangible things that deer can relate to. Even if there was an impact by barometric pressure being the 1-2% range, 5% range. And so folks, try to ignore the barometric pressure as you go into this hunting season. Really look for those major changes in the wind speeds. Even the day before a front comes through, a lot of times people say, well, a blizzard's coming through, you have a major system coming through. Yeah, that's a great time to hunt, because the day before, let's say it was a high of 52 and it was sunny in the evening. It's, you know, maybe the 27th of October, it's not quite rut time. And then the next day, it's a high of 49. There's an 8-degree temperature change because a front is coming. There's light southeast winds on the front of that in that morning or evening hunt. It's cloudy out, so the temperature is dropped. That's a great time to hunt. It might be a 7 out of 10, might be a 6, might be an 8 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10, but a day you shouldn't miss. But once that clears out, and it doesn't matter if it's low pressure, it would be low pressure that day. Once it clears out, look for that time. Look for those times where temperatures change, weather's changed, extreme weather's changed, extreme winds have changed. That'll serve to set up those great days. High barometric pressure, low barometric pressure, or not, they'll serve to set up great days. This stand behind me right here is a stand my hunting partner Rich, he shot a couple nice bucks out of that year, or last year. I shot a couple nice ones out of a stand over here. And those were actually Rich's biggest bucks. He was so thrilled. It was awesome. It was an awesome time to experience. I'm hoping, Rich comes from Michigan, we try to plan this around these major weather temperature changes. And the cool thing about when you're looking at temperature changes, wind direction, wind speed, hey, you might have an inch of rain, you might have a quarter inch, you might have no rain. You might have the same with snow. You might have an inch, 7 inches, or no snow. That's a hard part. That deals more with barometric pressure than anything. But when you have those major temp drops, you can see those 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks out, especially during the hunting season when seasons are changing. You're going from 60s, 70s, all of a sudden it's 30, 40 a week later. You can see those changes in the forecast a long ways out. You cannot see those barometric pressure changes. You cannot live by those. And that's the great thing about hunting the weather. If you don't see a major weather change and a major hunting opportunity until 3 to 4 days out, you haven't been paying attention to the weather like I'd like you to. You can see this coming 7 to 10 days out. I know Rich, when he's coming out, even if he has a long weekend, he'll slant a Friday or a Monday off so that he can slant it towards the best times when you have those major weather conditions taking place. We'll look for that when it comes up to this. But hey, it's not about last year, the year before. I've been living by this and shooting bucks like this and planning my hunts around this weather since the early 90s. This is something that works. I know it'll work for you. I'm not making this stuff up just to make it up, just to put some cool stuff out on YouTube or some nice videos or nice articles, maybe even a weather app someday. I'm not doing that just to create content. I'm doing it because I truly want to help you guys. This is something that's worked for me for decades. I know it'll work for you. I wouldn't stake my name on it, my reputation. I highly recommend you to hunt this way. Ignore the barometric pressure. And hey, while you're at it, to stir up some more controversy, why don't you just ignore the moon too? It's all about the weather when it goes into this hunting season, and I hope you guys have a great deal of success, and I can't wait to hear about it.